to
hey.
Murder Therapy with Dolltok.
Murder with
You didn't do the pinky
margaritas. I
thing.
know. I got
Murder
my.
with Mark.
It's because my hands were busy
Yes.
with margaritas.
Oh, they weren't busy in the beginning when we first did that. And naturally, I gotta be honest, we had technical difficulties. Fucking imagine that. Like,
My computer.
it
If
never
it's not
fails.
one computer needing an update, it's we're terrible at this. When can we get big enough to where we can hire a crew to do this and we just record?
We will. I feel it.
She
I feel
feels it
it.
in her
We
bones.
we'll get there. Yeah, yeah, we're just not very tech savvy. But I also blame that if you've been listening for a while, you'll know where this came from. If not, then you get to do your homework and go back a few episodes. But I feel like it's because we got rid of Craig and we talked shit about Craig. Like his spirit is like haunting
Our
our
computers.
computers.
Like he's literally just like jumped through the metaverse into both
He's like,
computers.
I wanted to be a part of the, branches of Doll Talk where Doll Talk has evolved, and you fired me, so I'm just gonna fuck shit up for you now.
You will
Like,
never record
you
without
will
any problems ever again.
ever
Thanks,
again.
Craig.
But yes, so earlier we were talking about. In the true crime realm, in the current moment, I wanted to shed light real quick on the Aubrey Wyatt story.
Ooh,
If you're on TikTok, you know what this is. If
yeah.
you do not, the Cliff Notes version of this is 13-year-old Aubrey unfortunately unalived herself due to bullying going on at school. And to my understanding, she did everything that they're supposed to do in reporting this, and the school system failed her.
Facts.
Society failed her. And her mother has utilized social media as her outlet and her way of spreading awareness on this particular subject that shouldn't be a thing, but unfortunately it still is. And instead of, you know, holding these four young girls accountable, the parents was like, well, I think we're going to sue you now. Like, what low life fucking dickwad does that?
Rather than realizing your kid isn't perfect like we all want to think, and I don't know what exactly I expect them to do to their kids, but I mean, something's got to come of it. They've got to be held accountable for their actions. I mean, they bullied somebody
Mm-hmm.
so bad that they hated their life enough to do that.
I have always told my kids, and I stand by this, we love everybody no matter what. You don't have to like what people do. If you're uncomfortable, you don't have to associate with them. But I better never find out that you're being mean to somebody. And if I do, I promise you I will come to your school, and that'll be a day you will never forget.
There's a polite way
And
to
I stand
decline
by that.
somebody. There
Yeah,
is.
we don't. Yeah, yeah. There's one boy, God love it, Colin. Um, he's not a big fan of him. I'm not gonna say like what all they have in common or anything, but Colin's like, I can't get away from this kid. He's like, and yeah, he just this is a kid that kind of causes some issues. It's
Mm,
not that Colin's just being mean and he's like, I don't like him. It's this kid intentionally causes disruptions and whatnot, and Colin's like, I don't want to be a part of that at
yeah.
all. And he's like, I can't seem to freaking escape him. Like, that was like
God love him.
just grin and bear. So he just doesn't associate. It's not that he's being rude, but that's how I've taught them to be. And
Yeah.
you bully people, and I better never find out that you bully anybody. I can't stand that. It's a pet peeve of mine. So if you can, please make sure I'm not asking you all to donate on the GoFundMe pages or anything. Those are available if you choose to. But
Yeah.
don't feel obligated to do it. But if anything, sign the petitions, because there is a petition to get the ringleader's dad, who happens to be
Mm.
a superintendent of the school
In
district.
case you were wondering
Um,
why it fell on deaf ears, that would be why.
yeah, yes,
He
yeah. And
failed
so,
every other student, obviously, next to his child.
well, I feel like his daughter should be held at a completely different standard than other students.
It
I'm
should be
not saying
harder
that
on his
obviously that
daughter.
she has to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But someone like that should be like a role
Because
model,
you're
you
representing your
know?
dad. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
instead, it's been swept under the rug. We're treating this, well, they're minor girls. It's a shame it happened, but it's not. It is what it is. They caused someone to no longer be alive anymore. This
I
is a
mean, they
really
didn't
serious matter.
physically do the action, but they did enough to make the action happen. And
They might as well have done it. The way I look
absolutely,
at it,
absolutely.
but and they continued to make fun of her even after
After
she was dead.
sickening.
They made videos and all that. So it's disgusting behavior.
Yeah.
But you can't. I stand by the apple didn't fall far from the tree, and it speaks solely on their character that you're pursuing legal action on a woman who is grieving the loss of her daughter by suicide. It'd be bad enough to lose your child anyway, but by suicide,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, I think I'm gonna sue you now. Like, what dick? What does? I'm
Like
sorry. It
she's
really.
already dealing with the loss of her freaking child, like which we all know is just unfathomable. You can't even imagine what she's going through. I don't even want to know what she's
Right.
going through. And then
I
for
don't
these
either.
parents to, I mean, at least the least they could do is, I'm so sorry that my child played a part in that, and reached her hand out for comfort, even though she probably wouldn't want it.
Well, they
You sued
recently
her.
they posted on Aubrey's obituary, these girls did, saying saying how sorry they were and everything. This happened
Mm.
back in September, mind you. The Aubrey unalived herself back in September. We're now in July of
Where the
2024.
court proceedings
Okay.
have, yeah.
Yes, with a court proceeding. And I can't help it. That wasn't a genuine apology. I don't believe it,
No.
because why are you putting it in the month of July when we're almost a year later? It took you a whole year to realize that you fucked up. I can't help but be like, the dad probably was like, I'm gonna need you to kind of put some sympathy out there. It's all to
My
me
ass is over the
about
fire. I need you to,
looks.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Could you imagine
So,
the type of adults these girls are going to be?
oh, well, I hate to break it to them, but they've sealed the deal for them. This will follow them forever.
Yeah.
Colleges will look at this. They're not going to say ultimately, no, you can't be in college with us. But you know what? A lot of high profile colleges,
Mm-hmm.
like, the big ones in Virginia, is like William and Mary, Virginia Tech, Emory and Henry, places like that. Ohio State. They
Ooh.
don't want to be affiliated with
No.
that.
I mean,
They're going to look at that. And it is what it
it is what
is.
it
It's
is,
just
but
bad.
I
It
just,
is what it is.
I can't imagine how disgusting adults they're going to be when they
Yeah.
grow up. If they can literally, after she's gone, still drag her through the mud.
By the
There's no
time that this
sympathy.
episode releases, might be the day that Heather's in court. But even then, if you guys just can sign the
Sign,
petitions, just
sign,
say
sign,
some
sign.
prayers,
Yeah.
just something for Heather. I'm not asking you to donate. That's totally on you. That is an option to help her pay for her legal fees, because she shouldn't even have to be fucking worrying about that
No.
right now. I think, if anything, that the parents should have to pay for Aubrey's funeral. All four of those girls should be expelled, not suspended, expelled. If you can't behave in a public school system, you don't get the right to go to a public school
100%.
system. And I think that they should have to continue to help pay for this mother's therapy, because she's never going to get over that. She's never going to be normal ever
Oh,
again.
my kid wouldn't have
Ever.
anything, nothing, no phone, no not, because that, I mean, let's be honest, that girl leaves school, and whereas when we were younger, we were just coming into stuff where we had to log into the internet to have access to them to be able to get to us, so we could break away from that if we wanted. Where she's got a phone in her hand all the time, where these girls are just bing, 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 bing.
Well, cyberbullying really it wasn't as big of a thing,
It was a thing,
when
but it
we were
wasn't.
younger.
Yeah, it was
It wasn't
because
like it is
I
now.
had two separate individuals where I just had one incident where I was cyberbullied. Had no like run-ins with these people. Well, one of the people, like I have no idea why I was on her radar at all, but I had parents that taught me to brush that stuff off. It bothered me, it
Yep.
upset me, but not to the point, which honestly the bullying was probably way worse for her. But I was bullied, so I can't even imagine the lengths that she got bullied nowadays. So please sign that petition. I know a lot of people have at least had one experience growing up where they were bullied or felt that
Yeah.
way. So just be on her side. Scream Aubrey's name because her mom can't.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the big thing going on TikTok right now is, Heather can't say her name, but we can.
Yeah.
You know, funny feeling. This blew up quite a bit. I guarantee you there'll be a Netflix documentary.
Oh,
You heard,
100%.
yeah, you heard it. Not
100%.
that it's funny at all, but like Netflix that makes documentaries about everything, so I'm sure that
Yeah.
this will make it's a big thing. So aside from Aubrey, um, we called it forever ago. Gyp shit is pregnant. She made her fucking announcement.
Ooh,
So
Lord.
yeah, no, that's a
I
lot.
saw
But
it. I was like, oh,
um,
Jody.
how does one explain to their child, well, the reason that you're not going to meet your grandmother is because I killed her? How does one explain that? I love to be a fly on the wall when we have this conversation because eventually, as
Mom,
the
why did you
child
go
gets
to prison?
older, well, the it's you can't make it shit up.
No.
And then on top of everything else, aside from Gyp shit being pregnant, remember, she's not legally divorced from Ryan yet. She's
Mm-hmm.
still legally married, but pregnant with her ex fiance, now boyfriend, who apparently also has a boyfriend. Did you see all that? Like, there was, oh, you don't know
What?
about that. So, a man has come out of the woodworks by the name of Steve Wood. I don't know if that is really his
Steve Wood
name.
came out the woodwork?
Yes. Oh my. Well, he did. And he commented on one of Gypsy's videos and he was like, Yo, Gyp, I'm gonna need your boy Ken to come get his shit out of my house. Yeah, and that he was the
What?
one that, yes, he was the one that he initially left Gypsy for when Gypsy was in prison, and that he weeks ago now. This all came out weeks ago. And he was like,
Mm.
and by the way, when are you going to do your pregnancy announcement? Because Ken vented to me how scared he is that you could
Oof.
potentially be the mother of his child and that you basically trapped him. And then look, she's pregnant, but she's never spoke on that. And he says it's all false. But if you pay attention, listen, Ken, if you ever listen to
The
this,
apple don't fall far from the tree.
this is true. So I would sleep with one eye open. But secondly, if you are into dudes, you do you, boo
Hey,
boo.
yeah,
I'm
that's
not gonna
whatever.
judge you.
Oh, I was saying ooh and
I'm
ah
not
because it's
gonna judge
juicy.
you. But honestly, I think you would be a lot happier with Steve Wood than you would the convicted murderer. I'm just gonna throw that out there. So yeah, that's all the tea on Gypsy Rose
Oh
right now.
Lord,
So
have mercy. I don't want
yeah.
to. I don't want to put anything out there, but it's definitely shocking that. Well, especially because I think something that I read in the state that she lives in, not being fully divorced makes it very, very muddy when you give birth to a child, and it holds off.
Well,
I heard it delays the divorce, so I'm not 100% sure.
people like her thrive on drama. She's loving every minute of it. It's just like she's been on TikTok lives with Ken, and then she'll be like, Ryan texted me on TikTok live for an audience to see, like, why? For what purpose? Because she loves it.
I
She
don't
loves
know why people don't see it. Like she plays the victim really well. I will give her that. Do
no,
I
she doesn't.
feel well? Do I feel bad for her upbringing? Yes, I do. Um, but you see, a like if there is a fuse lit, she turns instantly. Like she gets defensive. Like how she comes at people that come across like that go against her on the internet, and she like constantly goes back and forth and beefs. and like I see the controltiveness come out of her when she's with guys. Like you could see it when she was with Ryan. Like there's the controlling fiber in her bones, and I don't know the trapping thing. Why I don't know. I can see it. I can't
Well,
see it. I don't want to speak on it, but
she's insecure as fuck.
yeah.
And I say that because she's got beef with one creator, Nina, who I
Yes.
am friends with on TikTok. And she did the big video basically talking about that Nina was so jealous because she had a Chad.
And
Like
now
that's
there's
long
a
story, but
there's a
now
remix song about it. It's
yes.
hilarious.
Well, when I hear Chad, no offense to any Chads out there, I can't help but think douchebag. So, and I'm
Facts.
like, that's something to brag about. But let's paint this real quick. If that is your biggest flex that you possibly have, that you have a man, okay? You're living life wrong, baby. Like you are not happy. You're insecure as fuck. You know what my biggest flex is, Gypsy Rose? I haven't killed my mother. I've never been to prison. I'm not on parole. I don't have to go piss in a cup every week to show that I'm being a model citizen. So get your shit together. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
So
Well,
like
you know.
yeah, it is what it is. But aside from all of that and the social media catastrophe of gyp shit. We are not here to talk about her today. We're here to talk about a whole other social media catastrophe, also known as the Craigslist killer. And I don't know if my cousin lives under a rock or what, but she doesn't know this case apparently, which surprised me because I feel like everybody knows this one.
Maybe when you like I don't associate with like the names and stuff like that. So if I hear I listen to the story. So if I hear the story maybe, but I don't think about
You might.
Craigslist too often.
You
That
might.
takes me Craigslist takes me back. It takes me back.
Which, once we get further into this, I have a funny Craigslist story with my Nana.
Oh
Um,
Jesus.
yeah, that I was like, I could incorporate that story
Oh my god.
about Nana on in this, but yeah. So, Philip Markoff. We don't have a lot of his childhood, like going further back or anything. We don't know much about like his parents. We don't know a whole lot about him.
Ryan's got
But what we
pictures of him up on our filter. Hold on, I'm looking. He's not.
Oh, okay.
He's
I
not
was like, what?
terrible.
Are you
He's
giving
not
me?
terrible looking.
Oh, well, that plays a big role. And part of
Okay.
why I wanted to do this one is because I think that people stigmatize what murders should look like or
Mm.
how they should be. And you got to really think about people like who we're about to talk about and Ted Bundy were as normal as what we are. I would say that
Well,
isn't normal,
people,
but
when
you
you
know
see
what I
these
mean.
creepy people or they're scuzzy or you're like, oh God, they look weird. They look like they'd kill somebody. When ultimately,
Hmm.
if you think about it, we've already covered Dahmer. He was good looking. Ted Bundy, good looking. This guy looks good looking. Like, don't trust anybody. Like,
Yeah. Well, Taylor Parker, she was really pretty.
yeah. If you're a 10,
Yeah.
you're crazy. I told my brother that. Sorry if you feel you're a 10. I don't mean that, but my
She
brother's
doesn't.
always like she's a dime piece, and then they come out to be like
Oh my God.
off the rocker.
Great. Great. Well, Philip Markoff was
Phillip.
born on February 12th in 1986 in Sherrill, New York. He was very successful in school, like in high school and stuff. He was played groups. He was like in groups. He was on the bowling team. He was in the history club. He was like very academically successful. I don't know if he was like one of the popular kids, but a lot of people talk about how like really smart he was and how kind he was, and he just was overall a really good guy. Okay. Now, Markoff attended the State University of New York. He was an aspiring doctor. Like he was
Oh,
very, very smart. Yes,
okay.
aspiring doctor. He went to the University of Albany. This is where he got his bachelor's degree in biology.
Wow.
He met pre-med student Megan McAllister, and they ended up hitting it off, and they dated. And 3 years into their relationship, they got engaged. They both were very, very goal oriented people. He wanted to be a doctor. She also wanted to be a doctor. Like, they had goals set. They were on the same bandwagon as far as their practices was going to go.
Wow.
They were going to have children. Like, I mean, they really were like, if you look up pictures of them together, Megan's gorgeous. Like, and I mean, again, just like you said, he's not a bad looking guy.
No.
Philip is not a bad looking guy at all. So they look like, the perfect couple and everything was great. Now, Megan actually had some medical problems. Megan had she I don't know if this started when she was in high school or what, but she had to have several surgeries on her back, which resulted in, as far as work, she really couldn't do like super like hardcore labor. You know what I mean? So she was kind of limited. And being in college, you don't really, there's not a lot of options as far as your job choices go.
Oh yeah.
You got to find something that's going to meet being in medical school, right? So that's like waitressing, and I'm not demeaning any of those things, but you know what I
But
mean.
you're on
Like,
your feet.
you,
You're
you're on your
walking.
feet,
Yeah.
you're walking, there's a lot of hard labor, and she was very
Lifting
limited with
trays
that.
and yeah, that's hard.
And so her and Philip ended up, they moved to Massachusetts, in Boston. They got an apartment. They're both doing their thing. Megan, they've got their wedding planning going on. Like, I'm telling you, like, it was like a picture perfect relationship. Everything's going grand, right? And Megan even started a website with a countdown, like, for
Oh.
when they married. Oh yeah, and her family, they adored Philip. They loved him. She had brothers. They didn't see any red sign like flags. Nothing that was like, that just seems off. Um the it was just great. Like, Megan's on cloud 9. Now she would go on Craigslist and she would look for like babysitting jobs, because that would be something she could study, right? Like, she could be doing her homework
Oh
and she could
yeah.
be watching kids, and also be providing funds for her and Philip. Because Philip, um what work he is doing, I mean, I'm not saying that they were like completely broke, but they didn't have a lot of money to spend, right?
Oh,
Because they're both
medical school
college
is
students, right? They're in
outrageously
medical
expensive.
school, exactly. And he's doing his clinicals and all this as a doctor, but there's only so much. Now, he would go to a casino. There's a casino up there in Massachusetts that they would go to, and he would play blackjack. Apparently, he was known to do really well at poker. Like, that was something he played in high school, and sometimes he would win pretty big, but he would always walk away when he was ahead. Like, he would know when to kind of step away.
He
So
knew his
they kind of
limits.
relied on that some, but I don't want to say that they completely 100% relied on it. But Megan wanted to provide. She wanted to contribute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so she would look for babysitting jobs. Everything is grand. Now, while she's doing her thing on Craigslist, Philip is also doing things on Craigslist. But it's not looking for, I know the look on your face. It wasn't looking for a newer apartments or helping Megan try to find like jobs that wouldn't be very physically demanding on her. Um, Philip is quite the sex addict, if you will.
Hey, he was doing something else on Craigslist.
Yes. So,
I remember that
uh,
section.
oh my god. Yeah. So
Not that I was in it. God, sorry, that was terrible.
me and Ashley are gonna have a talk after this episode's over
It was
with. But
there. It was
she
on the
knows.
bottom. You remember getting on there, and it was just all these sections of things you're searching, and it was at the bottom.
Well, yeah, it was right there, and it was the exotic section. And Philip liked to look in there quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay, Philip.
um, he he was into BDSM, which is
Ah.
fine. Whatever. Yeah. But on top of everything else, he also liked he was into transsexuals and just all the things. And you know what, dude, if that's your thing, you do you, boo boo. I'm not here to judge you.
You
Whatever
crack your
gets you
whip,
rocking off.
sir.
Craig, if you, he apparently wanted to be like the submissive one, which again,
Oh, okay.
that's you, but you have a really beautiful fiance.
Yeah.
Like if you're into these things, talk to her. She might be just as fucking kinky as you are. But no, that's not what he did. Instead, he's getting on the exotics and he's looking for all these things. Now, in May of 2008, he had actually exchanged several messages with someone who was labeled as a transvestite. That's what they labeled themselves as on there. And he part of his correspondence was, "Hey, sexy." This he wrote this on May the 2nd of
Oh,
2008, and he was using the email address sexaddict5385 at yahoo.com.
putting it out there.
Yes, yes. They never met in person or anything, but they did exchange messages. There was an exchange of photographs and all these things. Now, I know people are probably thinking, well, how the fuck did he have time to do that when he's living at home and he's a med student, right? So he's
Mm-hmm.
really busy with all his medical studies, his clinicals. Again, Philip was really fucking smart. So he would get his homework done in no time. And I don't think that his classes really necessarily graded him up based upon his attendance, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah, like he had a lot of free will to
Which
do
some colleges do. They
whatever.
don't require you to be there as long as the work's done, or especially now that things are more like accessible online.
Yeah. Now, Megan, I about said Morgan. God, I don't know why, but Megan, she reported after all this comes out that the only time that she might have ever had any like odd things that happened was when their landline would ring and people would be like, is this the nail salon? Or they would talk about massage therapy or whatever. And it was later learned that Philip had been actually giving out his name,
Oh God.
their landline phone number on the explicit thing on Craigslist, and would tell people to use this code so that way if he was home, yeah. And here your fiance's answering it and they're like, yeah, is this the nail salon? And she's like, no. She just thought it was like spam phone calls, or maybe at one point that landline phone number was linked to whatever. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't have ever thought anything unusual. Like,
I would have been
with
annoyed. Like that would have been annoying as crap.
yeah,
Why
yeah,
does this
I would.
keep happening?
Yeah, well, I know. Like, I don't know how many times it happened, but it happened. Now, Megan would go back. So her family lived in New Jersey. So she would travel to New Jersey some for some of her doctor's appointments. And depending on how things were, she could be there overnight. She could be there 2 days. But sometimes she could be there for like 2 weeks. And then Philip would be in back home in Boston, like by himself, doing whatever. Okay. So, yeah, he liked to gamble too while she wasn't there. That plays kind of a role in today. So here we go. He's on there doing his thing. He's decided he's going to meet up. There's rumors that he did meet up with some before his shenanigans start. I'm sure he did.
Mhm.
But when things start really going into a downward spiral is when he goes and purchases a bunch of burner phones. Why you need those burner phones, Philip? And Megan's in New Jersey, and he decides he's going to meet up with a woman named Trisha Leffler. Now, Trisha, this was on April the 10th. She was 29 years old. She was a sex worker who offered like massages online, right? And she she would go downstairs and like assess these clients that she would meet with, and if anything seemed odd or unusual, she would tell them that she changed her mind and that she wasn't going to go through with it.
Yeah.
So when Philip gets there, he texts on his burner phone and he's like, I'm here. She comes downstairs. She sees him. As we see, he's not a bad looking guy. And she said, to be completely honest, she was kind of surprised because most of her clients that she would get weren't very attractive people like what Philip was. So she's like, he didn't seem unusual to me at all. So she takes him upstairs. They go in the room. She's talking to him. She turns around and he's got a gun pointed at her. And apparently he had purchased this firearm. He'd managed to get his hands on some other dude's driver's license. How that happened, I don't know. And they didn't even fucking look alike, but that's how he had purchased this gun. Like he
Wow.
used this other, yeah, yeah, driver's license. So he's like, I'm not going to hurt you. I need money. I'm broke and I'm going to rob you. So she's very cooperative. He ends up duct taping her hands behind her back. He's asking her all these questions, like he's going through her wallet. She had apparently like $800 in cash, so he pocketed that. And he's asking her, like, debit card by debit card, if he could take money off of these. And she explained it like it was one of the weirdest, the not a very like what you would picture a robbery to go, if that makes sense. Like she was like he was unusually pleasant during this. It's yeah.
Oh.
Well, like yeah, it's really weird. Well, he asks if
He
she had
robbed
a
me, but he was
computer.
really nice.
He was
Oh.
well. He wasn't like aggressive. I mean, he was, but he wasn't. Is the way that she explained it. Like it's really weird. But he's asking her if she has a computer. Like I guess he was going to steal the laptop to like pawn off or whatever.
Ah, okay.
Um yeah, he gets her cell phone, takes her battery out of her phone, throws it behind the TV. He's then goes in her suitcase, steals a couple pairs of panties and pockets them. He then says to her that he's like, will you call? Are you going to call anybody immediately when I leave, or all this? And she's like, no, just like let me go, and I'm not going to say anything. And he's like, well, I don't believe you. It was like he was like playing mind games with her, and then he ends up getting zip ties and zip tying her to the bathroom door, and then cut the duct tape off, duct taped her mouth, cut the phone line in the hotel room, and he left.
Sorry.
Now, mind you, he didn't take any cautions whatsoever in disguising himself. No ball cap, nothing. Period. Yeah,
But he's super
he did.
smart.
He's super smart,
Okay.
I will say, academically, but did nothing to
No street smarts.
disguise himself. Yeah. Not that, I mean, I'm glad that he didn't, obviously, because,
Yeah.
yeah, obviously, shocker, he gets caught. I didn't guess she was guessing that, but, he didn't do anything to really prevent himself from, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, not
Yeah.
being noticed at all. It was really bizarre. So, she didn't have his name. Obviously, she managed to, get help. This was reported to the police. The police, they talked to hotel staff, and what do you know? They get him right there on camera. But they've got this guy. They know nothing. So they did tell Trisha. They said, we're not going to charge you for soliciting, because she is a prostitute. It is what it is. They said, if anything, we want to use you as bait to see if maybe we can catch him in the future. And she agreed to do that.
He didn't even
So,
get his rocks off first.
no, no, there was no sexual encounter at all. He didn't sexually assault her. He just, it was like a robbery thing.
Strange behavior for an
Um,
addict, but okay.
it, yeah, he's different. You're about to learn that. So he's just, yeah. But again, she didn't have a name, so she had no idea that this guy's Philip Markoff. She knew nothing other than this guy messaged me and he wanted, a massage, and we didn't even get that far. We come in, he robbed me. He was unusually, really weirdly polite, and he went on his
I
business. Yeah,
can't. I
really
can't.
weird. All right. So this was April the 10th. Now, I forgot to mention there's a book that they call 7 Days of Rage that's about this case because
Oh,
he went
really?
on like a 7 days of rage. Yeah. Like it's mind blowing. So, April the 14th. Okay.
What year is this?
Jalissa, this is 2009 is
Okay.
when this happened. Yeah, 2009. So, April the 14th. Jalissa Brisman was also a masseuse that would post. She would give it, exotic massages as well. So she had done a post on Craigslist, and Philip, took that and went with it. And of course, they had made um, plans to that Philip's going to come to her hotel and he's going to get this massage, and yeah, um, he gave her a fake name. I don't know what the name was, but he did give her a fake name. So into their meeting, he ended up attacking her. They believe that it was an attempt to basically try to cuff her wrist and he was going to rob her. But apparently, Jalissa was known as quite the badass, right? And
Hell
she was
yeah.
like, if a homie tries to come on me, I'll try to kick his ass. And she did attempt to fight back, but unfortunately, he shot her multiple times. You're laughing. What's so funny?
I'm so. My mind's in the gutter. And you didn't even catch your pun. Sorry.
I didn't catch my pun.
You said it if he tries to come on me.
Oh my god.
Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. That was inappropriate. And she didn't even notice
Oh my
it.
god. I didn't. I was just going with the flow. I was
Continue.
in the moment. But so she was the type, her friends, that they knew what she did for a living.
Okay.
Okay. And she always was, she would call her friends before like her encounters and be like, I'm about to, meet up with a client, whatever. But she always told them if something happened, she would kick their ass. Like, yeah. And I
Okay.
guess he attempted to zip tie her hands and she fought back.
Hell yeah.
And he was not prepared for that. So he ended up hitting her in the head with his firearm, bashing in her skull, and he shot her 3 times. And then he left.
Wow.
Yeah. So when they found her, they tried to get her to the hospital, but unfortunately it was too late. Jalissa was pronounced dead once she arrived at the hospital. Yeah. So again, they're kind of linking things together that they have a very active predator on the loose. What do you know? It's the same guy in the hotel lobby on CCTV.
Is it the same hotel
No,
he keeps going to, or is it different?
no, it was different
Sorry,
hotels.
guys.
Yeah, it was different hotels, but again, he didn't play it very smart at
Yeah.
all because he doesn't put a hat on. None of those things. The
That's
only time he ever put a
insane.
hat on is, yeah, it's really bizarre. And I believed it was during this time, the week long spree that he goes on is when Megan was in New Jersey for doctor's appointments. He's got a beautiful fiance. He's getting on the exotic,
Mm.
what part of Craigslist, being a man whore, and now he's escalated it to robbing and killing people, and he's supposed to be a doctor. So, yeah, let all that sink in.
Jeez.
Um, I know. So, Cynthia Melton is our next one. She told a very similar version of what Trisha Leffler's story was. She too is also a sex worker. I don't know if she promised like massages. I just know that she was a sex worker. Her husband, I get, well, it is what it is. He was her pimp. And when she would be doing her encounters, they had an agreement that if anything went wrong, she would call him, but he would also call her to make check in and make sure everything was okay.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like
So,
he would be like downstairs or like close
well,
by.
he would be close by, but he
Okay.
would call her phone to make sure, is everything okay? Do you need me to come, whatever. So, he He meets up with her. Now, this was on, was it? It was just a couple days after. Yeah, this was April the 19th. Yeah.
Okay.
So just in days. Like, I mean, he went on a rage. But so he makes arrangements. He's going to meet up with Cynthia. Once he gets to the hotel, he does the same thing. He pulls a gun out and he's like, "I'm not going to kill you. I need money. I'm broke, blah blah blah." So she's like, "Take whatever." He happens to notice a laptop charger that's plugged in, but there's no laptop connected to it. And he's like, "Where's your computer?" And she goes, "I don't have one in here." And he said, "If I find a computer in here, I will kill you." Like,
Wow.
yeah, he's so her phone starts to ring because she hadn't checked in with her husband. And he's like, "Who's calling you?" And she said, I don't know. She didn't want to blow the cover that, my husband's going to come up here and fucking kill you. Like, you
Yeah.
know, like, I don't know. I don't
Because
know who
Gator
to be
don't take
calling.
no shit.
He's losing his absolute shit. And here comes the husband, sure enough. And he busts in.
Wow.
Yeah. And he ends up shooting the husband, did not kill the husband.
What?
Yeah. And took off. Yes.
And he's probably like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
oh,
like
I
he
can
panicked,
only
like the little
imagine.
pussy. He fucking panicked like the little pussy that he is. And yeah.
His face
So
when that probably happened was priceless.
he did have a ball cap on that time. That's what's comical. I guess he finally had noticed on the news, like, oh shit, they're catching on to me. And yeah, so he wore a ball cap,
Let
but
me
he
just
was
wear a
still,
hat.
yeah. So obviously, like, the police is like, we have a potential serial killer on the loose and we got to do what we can to catch him. Mind you, he did nothing to try to hide his identity. So, what did the police do? They were able to track Phillip down with his IP address.
Oh, Phillip. God.
Yeah, yeah, he's
What an idiot.
he is. He is. Plus the CCTV footage. Now, on April the 20th, Megan's back. They pull him over and arrest him and apprehend him. Mind you, Megan knows nothing
He was
about this
arrested
shit.
on 420?
He was arrested on 420.
Oh,
Yes.
man.
Um, he they were on their way to the casino, probably with all the money that he fucking
Oh.
robbed from all these girls that such a
You think he
bastard.
had a
But
gambling problem to where, I mean, obviously you're broke because you're in middle school, but like, were they
he
extra
did have a
broke?
gambling
Okay.
problem. He did have a gambling problem.
Okay.
But that was part of it. But they arrest him. Can you imagine if like Ryan had been doing this shit and you're just going down the road and you get pulled over and you're watching him be arrested and you have no fucking clue as to why?
Oh my God.
Like
No.
and she's like, I don't understand what's happening. Like, they're not telling her anything. And then they're searching the apartment. And this is where they find tons of panties that he had been taking as trophies. They find the firearm underneath the bed. He had actually taken one of his medical books and carved out inside of it to hide the gun. Yeah, and
That's
this
like
is
old
all
school.
under the bed that he shares with his fiance. They take his computer, and this is where they find all the correspondence. Everything that he's done on Craigslist is listed right there. But the best part of all of this is when they're interrogating this motherfucker. Okay. So they take him in. You guys need to listen to it. And they're like, so, do you watch the news? He's like, I don't watch the news. And they're like, well, we we have this guy. He kind of looks like you going through, these hotel lobbies when these things are happening, right? It looks just like you. And he's like, well, I just walk through lobbies. I wasn't there for any of that. Yeah, because everybody how many hotel lobbies do you walk through on a regular basis?
It's a hobby of mine.
Oh, is it?
It's how I get my
Is it?
steps in. People go to malls. I go to hotels.
Yeah, yeah. So, obviously, he's arrested, right? He's being charged for murder. among many other things. Megan has no idea what's going on.
Oh, I bet she's freaking out. I can
And
imagine.
so they tell Megan, and she's like, "You've got the wrong guy. He wouldn't do that." Like you, and she told the media, there's clips of her, and she says they have arrested the wrong person. My fiance would never hurt a fly at all. She is in denial, like no one's business
Well, if you
at
have
all.
no proof, I mean, you want to think the best of it, but man, she's going to be mind blown.
Well, she, police, they're like, she's going to be really damaging to our case. And it is what it is. Like I get it. She's in denial. So they did meet with her and they read her. They printed out messages between him and some of these like people that was on Craigslist that he never
Mm,
met, and was
yeah.
reading her these explicit messages, and she ended up like she about broke down.
Oh, man.
So she goes to go visit him in jail, and she's like, "I just need you to be honest with me." And I think at that moment, it sunk in that the man that she had been sleeping next to for all these years, that's not who she thought he was not who
I
he
couldn't
he
imagine.
he was a monster.
Yeah.
So she called off the engagement then, and because clearly it's not going to work out. Philip pled guilty at his arraignment. Well, yeah, he pled guilty because they had so
I
much
mean,
substantial evidence.
yeah.
Like, yeah, um, he was put on suicide watch within the first 48 hours of his arrest. Yeah, because he tried to choke himself out with his shoelaces.
Ryan has names and words for people like that, but okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, May 1st, 2009 is when the wedding got canceled, by the way.
Okay.
And apparently this really, really, really shook up Philip. Like but I want to
He
be
was
like, you
surprised.
get to be upset and surprised that she called off the wedding when you were proactively cheating on your fiance. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Bro, you killed someone and
You
shot
can,
another.
yes, yes, and you don't get to be, yeah, upset that she called off a wedding, right? Like,
Robbed
yeah.
multiple people,
Now,
killed someone, shot someone, took their panties and held them hostage. You had relations with other people on a computer, and you had a gambling problem. I mean, after one, let alone all that, I wouldn't be surprised.
what kills me is he was going to be such a successful doctor.
Yeah.
Like he was like,
The money
and
was coming.
he's,
You just had to be patient,
yeah,
Philip.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, he's yeah. Our story's not over yet. So obviously he's an aspiring doctor. He knows a lot about the human anatomy, right?
Oh, yeah.
So he ended up slashing his arteries in his jail cell, in his ankles, legs, and neck. He stuffed toilet paper down his throat and covered his head with a plastic bag, and he bled to death in his cell. He did successfully kill himself.
Wow.
But during this, he wrote a message on the wall in his own blood, and it said Megan, and then out from it said pocket. And to this day, no one knows what pocket ever meant. But he was never, none of
Hmm.
these victims ever really got to get the justice, or, hear answers from him as to why did you do
Because he
that?
took the pussy way
Like you
out. You didn't want to be accountable. Oh,
exactly.
it's so gross.
Yeah.
Sorry. That really
But
makes me
that
mad when
is
people do that. They can inflict all this on people and then they can't withstand a week in jail, a month in jail.
yeah. Well, and so that's our story of Philip Markoff. It's not a super super long one, but
It
it's
was
a
a good one.
really intriguing one
Yeah.
because it's just I don't understand if like all of that built up rage was because the gambling addiction, and did you struggle with the gambling addiction because you had all these weird sexual fantasies that you were afraid to be open about. Like I don't get it.
I
I
don't
it's
know. It's confusing. It is because you claim to be an addict and you got alone with sex workers and
But he
didn't
never
do any.
sexually assaulted
Yeah,
any of them.
no sexual stuff
Which I
was
mean is
involved.
grateful. I'm glad he didn't,
Yes, very.
but yeah,
That's weird.
it's
You
it's
had a
bizarre.
gambling problem, you had a sex problem, so like you you were broke. Like what were you trying to fix? Which one were you trying to? It's so confusing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
confusing.
So I'm sure we have questions for the girls.
Yeah, it was a light, interesting case. I like it.
Yeah. He's disgusting, but again, yeah.
Gross.
Yes. Oh, he is gross. Um no one's ever I don't think people have talked to Megan at all, which she doesn't like to talk about
Yeah.
this, obviously. I can't say that I blame her.
Nope.
I wouldn't want to talk about it.
I
That's not
wouldn't.
how I would want to be, affiliated. But yeah. Hey, you ready? Do you have questions?
Oh, I got questions.
Hello.
I have questions.
Can you hear it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, ladies.
Hi, gorgeouses.
Hey, mate. You hear that? Hey, mate. Hey. So, can we ask you questions about Philip Markoff? Yep.
Sound like they said Philip.
Yep. They might have. So, first of all, I want to know: did y'all ever use Craigslist when you was alive? I have no idea what they said. Just the girls right now, please. Um, what questions do you have?
First of all, did Megan at least know what pocket meant?
Oh yeah, yeah, I love it. She's like, we gotta know what pocket
Yeah.
meant. Did Megan know what pocket meant on the wall? Yes.
I was gonna say we might not, but she probably knew. I feel like he was telling her to look somewhere.
Yeah. Was he telling her to look somewhere?
Maybe it was an inside joke. Oh, maybe it was an inside joke. We don't know.
Yes.
Um. Hmm, hmm, hmm. What? I don't know how to ask this question. What was he was he broke because of medical school or a gambling problem? Like, how would you ask that?
Was Philip broke because he was a medical student, or did it have to do with the gambling addiction?
I feel like that was complex.
Yeah.
Did he get into trouble with gambling, and that's why he was robbing
Yeah.
people?
Did he get in trouble with gambling? I swear I heard no,
I
but
thought I heard no too. Was his money problems
was he a
because of?
sex addict?
Oh,
I can't make any of that out.
yeah, because that could have been a gimmick to get them. Like, oh, this guy's
Yeah.
an addict. He'll, yeah, pay whatever.
Do you think that Philip was the serial killer in the making? I heard no.
Do you
Those
think he
are
would have
no.
stopped after he got married
Yeah, do you think he would have stopped after he got married?
or became a doctor? We should ask that.
I heard fine. Fine. I don't know what that means.
Do you think his money problems would have been fixed after becoming a doctor?
Yeah, do you think his money problems would have been fixed after becoming a doctor?
They're super quiet today.
Said no.
Oh. Did the pimp survive?
Yeah, yeah, he did.
Okay.
They
Okay.
both did. Yeah.
Are they okay? Are they living peacefully?
Yeah, is all these survivors of Philip Markoff okay? I heard fighting. I swear that's what it sounded like. They said fighting. Yeah. Yeah.
Did the girls get their underwear back?
I doubt it. I would
It was
have wanted
evidence.
the underwear back. Yeah, that was evidence.
Well, what did you guys think about Philip Markoff?
Yeah, what do you think about Philip? Pussy. I swear to
I
God, that's
did.
what
No,
he
I
said.
heard it. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. I feel the same, girls. I feel the same.
We feel the same.
Yeah. Well, that
All
was.
right, ladies. Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
They're the best.
That was.
But
I
yeah,
feel like that was a
that's
lighter
Philip.
case.
It is. I mean, it's kind of gross in a weird way, but like I don't know. Well, he's gross. Period. I guess I should say. I shouldn't like justify any of his behaviors at all. But
No.
yeah.
Well, thank goodness your Nana did not have a run in with him.
To tell my Nana
I know. You got
story.
to. You
Oh
have
my
to.
God! So now I have to tell it before we end this. So my Nana had. Did you ever see the I seen on TV? Like it was supposed. It's I don't want to call it an exercise machine because that's not what it was. But you would stand on it and it would just shake you. You know what I'm talking about?
Did like it have a strap that went around your butt and it just?
Well, it didn't have the strap part, but it just jiggled you, and it was supposed to
I
help
don't know
you
what you're
lose
talking.
weight.
No, I've never seen it.
Okay, well, so Nana had one of those. Some people know it's an as seen on TV thing. She got it at the as seen on TV store, so she decided she was going to sell it, and she posted it on Craigslist. And some guy had responded that he was really interested and he wanted to come get it, so she called to tell me. And this was after like the Philip Markoff madness, and I was like, "Oh my God, Nana, you're gonna end up getting killed." And she's like, "I'll be fine." So she was like, just lets this complete stranger come in her house, and she was supposed to call me later and let me know that she was still alive, which she did not. So here I drove to Marion in a freaking panic, right? And she's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to call you." But yeah, he came and got the exercise machine. Yeah, that was my funny Nana. Sorry.
Oh God, love her. Well, moral of this story, our lovely doll babies, is in all seriousness, we made light of this case, but in all seriousness, it's still a huge thing with Facebook. We've got Marketplace, we've
Yes.
got Ubering, we've got door dashing, we've got all kinds of stuff that brings strangers into our lives where you're putting yourself in very awkward positions. Always be safe. We care about you, others care about you. So always make sure when getting into an Uber, somebody knows where you are, or you're talking to
Right.
somebody, or you're with somebody. When it comes to Marketplace, there's all kinds of treasures on there, but make sure, again, somebody knows where you are if you're going alone. Preferably don't go alone. And just be safe. We want you to.
Yeah. Because you don't ever know if you might be encountering a Philip Markoff. So
Yeah,
that's the world we live in now, unfortunately.
it's gross. So,
Yes.
yeah.
All right, Ash.
Well, what you got to do is you got to go like, follow, and subscribe on most social media platforms to MT Dolltok, as well as if you like to watch, find us on YouTube. If you like to listen, find us on Spotify. We're there.
Yeah.
Catch
Yeah,
Jody
give
on
us
her
a
lives.
follow.
Dolltalk 22.
Yeah. That's right. Dolltok 22.
And catch us together here soon because we're going to be together.
Yeah.
Yes,
I know,
we'll
I'm
go
so
live and
excited
do like
about it.
a QA kind of sesh. And
A Q&A.
yeah,
I like it.
and Aunt Sue will be joining for one of them.
Aunt Sue. I
Aunt
know. I'm
Sue.
excited.
Yes. So we will see you guys next Wednesday.
Next week. Yes. All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.